Today's lesson is on the term percent. Now, let's have a look at the word percent. Well, let's actually have a look at the term. Percent is just another way to express or show a fraction of something. Just like we use common fractions and decimal fractions, we can use percentages to find a fraction of an amount or a part of an amount. Now, if we look at the word percent, the definition below, please pause and write this in your book if you would like. Percent actually comes from two Latin words, one meaning per and cent. The first one, per, meaning for, and cent, meaning 100. So we can literally say that percent means for each 100. Now, it's really important that you remember this term because that's what percent means, for each 100. So let's have a look at percent. I've got an example here. It shows 100 parts and 25 of them are shaded in, as you can see. Pause the video if you want a closer look. Now, with these parts, zoom in for you a bit as well. With these parts, we can actually write some sentences or some statements about them. So, first statement that I can write, there are 100 parts and 25 are shaded in. So I can say 25 out of 100 parts are shaded. That's my first statement. Now, using our decimal knowledge, we can also actually write it as a decimal. So, decimals, we can consider these hundredths. So this we could say there are 25 hundredths. So 0 ones, 2 tens, and 5 hundredths, or 25 hundredths in total. We can also say it is actually 25%. Now this symbol means percent. We can write it as a word as well, 25%. Each of these terms is linked to this diagram. 25 out of 100 parts are shaded. 25 in decimal form, 25 hundredths. 25% are the same. And 25% in the worded form. Now we know that 25 hundredths and 25% are the same because our definition of percent is for each 100. So 25 parts for each 100. Since there is 100, 25 are shaded in. Let's try another example. We've got another example here. We've got 100 parts again, but this time 50 are shaded in. So the first statement that I can write is 50 out of 100 parts are shaded. Now, if you disagree, pause the video and have a real think. There are 100 parts and 50 are shaded. So this is true. Now our next part, we can write it as a decimal using our decimal knowledge. Well, we know there are 50 and there are 100, so we can say these are hundreds. So we can write 0, 5 tenths, 0 hundredths, or 50 hundredths. Now we know that hundredths make up tenths, 10 hundredths make up 1 tenth, so that's why we have 5 tenths. If we rename it, it links to 50 hundredths. We can say it is 50%. Now, using our knowledge of half, 50% is half of 100, or 50 is half of 100. 50% is a half of 100%. So we can clearly see, and 5 tenths is half of 1. Our next part, what we can do, is write it as, in words, 50%. So there you go. What you need to take out of this lesson today is that percent is another way of expressing or saying hundredths because percent is out of 100. All right, so 50% is pretty much saying 50 hundredths. Decimal form, percentage form.